Let's have a look at what Sunak's been saying.
We must be more ambitious in assessing people's potential for work. Right now, the gateway to ill health benefits is writing too many off, leaving them on the wrong type of support and with no expectation of trying to find a job with all the advantages that brings. In 2011, 20% of those doing a work capability assessment were deemed unfit to work. But the latest figure now stands at 65%. That's wrong. People are not 3 times sicker than they were a decade ago. And the world of work has changed dramatically. Now, of course, those with serious, debilitating conditions should never be expected to work. But if you have a low-level mobility issue, your employer could make reasonable adjustments, perhaps including adaptations to enable you to work from home. And if you're feeling anxious or depressed, then of course you should get the support and treatment you need to manage your condition. But that doesn't mean we should assume you can't engage in work. That's not going to help you. And it's not fair on everyone else either. So we're going to tighten up the work capability assessment such that hundreds of thousands of benefit recipients with less severe conditions will now be expected to engage in the world of work.
No, there's been lots written about it, but the things that I picked out from what he's talked about are the PIP. He's talking about PIP being changed. He's talking about the work capability assessment and that being adapted or reformed in some way. And he's also saying that GPs will no longer be checking for people's sickness or whatever, whether they're able to work. What's your? I mean, he's clearly doing the same as they did in 2010 by sort of attacking disabled people as the problem. But that's obviously what's going on. But what's your take on what he's saying, and how much has that brought fear to people that you know in DPAC?
Well, good morning, everyone. I'd like to begin by stressing to disabled people on the call today that Rishi Sunak's announcements on Friday will not be coming in until the next Parliament, so after the next election. Now, we saw with the White Health and Disability Transformation paper that within that they were going to reform the work capability assessment, and they launched a consultation on that last year. And basically what they wanted to do then was change the descriptor for mobility and moving around, and also the descriptor on social interaction. And we had a huge response to the consultation, and we got them to back down on the social interaction for anxiety. But they are continuing with the descriptor changes for mobility and moving around. There will be less points for that. And also they've changed the substantial risk rules under the work capability assessment currently. They're called regulations 29 and 35, that if you have severe mental distress and you have a history of suicide ideation or attempt, and you could be found a danger if you were found fit for work or put in work-related activity, you would be put in the support group currently. Well, what Rishi Sunak's going to do is change those regulations so that people who could be a danger if they're found fit for work or pressurised by the job centre to meet with job coaches and everything, he's going to remove those regulations, which are incredibly dangerous. And under current figures that the government released just 2 days ago, basically over 424,000 disabled people, once they've been assessed, will have their limited capability for work removed, and will receive personalised support to help them move closer. This will be with meeting with job centre work coaches. 33,000 claimants will be found fit to work, and this is by between 2028 to 2029, and we'll have to meet with work coaches for intensive work-related job searches and things like this. And with mobility descriptor changes by 2028, 260,000 disabled people will be affected. And I need to stress right now that this will be for new claims from April next year. But what Rishi Sunak announced on Friday, that they are going to bring forward from 2028 till December 2025, that everyone on employment and support allowance currently, the remaining legacy benefits, will then start to be migrated over to universal credit. So the end of 2025, disabled people start getting migration notices, and you will have 3 months notice to migrate over to universal credit. And a lot of the changes to universal credit, what the government did was change all of that by statutory instrument. So the laws are in place and they can change descriptors and everything. Now, there is a legal challenge to the work capability assessment reforms that's currently ongoing that DPAC are involved in. But I think it's really important to stress some of the other things that they're going to be looking at. And I need to stress this is after the next election. So they want to make it harder to pass the work capability assessment. GPs will no longer be issuing fit notes. So they've issued a consultation, the government, to reform the fit note. And note the term fit note, not what Rishi Sunak is calling sick notes. It's very hard. GPs are reluctant to sign people off sick anyway, and it's all about what you can do in a fit note, and often it's a phased return to work or meeting with the human resources department and the occupational health. So he plans to reform the fit notes and stop GPs issuing fit notes altogether. There's a consultation on that runs to the 8th of July 2024. I urge all of you, if you're trade unionists, you're activists, to look at that consultation and fill it out. We need to swamp the government's inboxes and emails, letters with responses to that consultation. And this is a message to all trade unionists out there. It's going to impact on everyone, working or not in work. When they reform the fit notes, it's going to impact on millions of people. And this is important.
How do we find the consultation?
I've put it in. It is on the government website, Crispin. I have put it in the chat higher up this morning.
Okay.
But I can send it to you by messenger by the end of our conversation. And
all right,
I'll
put that link in. I'll put the link up. Yeah.
So yeah, they're going to accelerate moving people from legacy benefits onto universal credit. So that begins December next year. PIP, personal independence payments, will no longer always be a cash benefit, and fewer people will be eligible. So he's claiming that spending on PIP will increase by 50% over the next 4 years. But under the white paper, they've already tightened the eligibility criteria. And so it's going to be harder for people to get. But what he's going to do with the changes he's proposing is targeting people with mental health conditions. He's basically saying that we will consider whether some people with mental health conditions should get PIP in the same way through cash transfers, or whether they'd be better supported to lead happier, healthier, and more independent lives through accessing treatment like talking therapies or respite care. Well, our response to him is what talking therapies, because you can't get long-term therapy. Decades of underfunding of mental health services, they're at breaking point now. You can only get 6 weeks of IAPT, that's like instant access to psychological therapies, and then that's it. For many people in mental distress, that's simply inappropriate and not enough. So, and also they're talking about rather than giving money, perhaps you need adaptation. So they want the NHS to do like an occupational health assessment and say, well, do you need like a row or, things like this. The problem with that is that the NHS, it's very difficult to get wheelchairs. In many local authorities, the wait for occupational therapy assessments are 2 years plus. Also, budgets have been slashed to the bone, so you can't get the adaptations you need for your home anyway. So also it's really important that we fight back on that one. The other thing they're talking about is DWP are going to be given powers to seize goods, arrest claimants and impose fines. 3 weeks ago, the DWP advertised for 25 covert surveillance officers. So they've already brought in, they're bringing in the surveillance bill next year to snoop on claimants' bank accounts, to see if you're committing benefit fraud. So the DWP will become like police officers and will be able to search claimants' homes, seize possessions such as computers, mobile phones, arrest claimants and impose fines. And, you know, I need to stress that benefit fraud is really, really low. It's something like 2.7%. When you look at tax avoidance in the UK, it's over 90%. Who the government should be targeting are the tax avoiders, not benefit claimants who have done no wrong. And it needs to be stressed in the narrative with the media that last year, over £23 billion went unclaimed by people because they're simply too scared to interact with the DWP system and the punitive measures. And also the system's so complicated with the online forms, and we have over a third of disabled people who have no access to a computer, so can't access the system. You've got over 5 million older people who have no access to a computer and, you know, can't access these systems. With closures of libraries and closures of citizens' advice centres, the advice is being taken away as well. So it's really, really important to stress that this is coming in after the next election. But also to add this, Labour have already said that, you know, and we've had Liz Kendall, the Secretary of State for the DWP, that people are not going to languish on benefits, her words. Whether they're, you know, regarding the universal credit managed migration, they support universal credit. So I think that, you know, we're not going to be able to stop that. However, they haven't really said much about the rest of what Rishi Sunak's providing and waiting to find out from the Labour Party. What I want to say to disabled people and our allies out there is that, you know, we fought the government back these past 14 years and things would have been even worse if we hadn't have done that. And we urge you all now to join with us, support us, fill out these consultations and support DPAC's work and allies that are fighting the government. And if you're in a trade union, raise these issues, because this is going to impact on part-time workers with the changes to part-time working with the minimum income floor that they're just bringing in. So they're going to be saying if you're working half a week, the DWP want you to increase your hours. It's going to have an impact on everyone. If you're claiming support from the DWP, it's going to impact really, really heavily.